Hey guys, this is my Spider-Man Homecoming review, and if you like this video, please give me a like, subscribe, or share. Thank you. I love the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films, but I never really got down with Tobey Maguire Spider-Man himself, and especially the third one. That one was really bad, but I still love those movies nonetheless. I love the first Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie, but I absolutely despise the second one. Andrew Garfield was always just a little too cool to be Peter Parker. I mean, he rode a skateboard. Nerd guys don't ride skateboards, especially not Spider-Man. So with two interpretations already in the books, third time's the charm, right? Right. Not only is Spider-Man Homecoming one of my favorite Spider-Man films, but it's one of my favorite superhero films ever made. For the first time ever, Peter Parker has done justice. It's not a 30-something playing a high school kid. It's a real high schooler playing a real high school superhero. For the first time in a superhero movie, you get to see what it's like from a kid's perspective, dealing with their teenage drama and fighting the bad guys at the same time. I know a lot of people are burnt out on Spider-Man, but I promise you, just give this one a chance. It doesn't retread any old ground, and it's a really fresh perspective. But perhaps the biggest difference this time with this take on Spider-Man is it takes place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man even has a big role in the film as well. Hopefully you've seen Captain America Civil War by now, because that's where this take on Spider-Man is introduced, and this movie picks up right after that one ends. So returning from his bout with the Avengers in Civil War, Spider-Man has newfound aspirations to become an official Avenger. He really wants to impress Tony Stark, as any teenage kid with superpowers would want to do. After dinking around New York for a couple months, Peter is fed up with being shrugged off by Tony Stark, and has decided to punch above his weight class and take on the local villain, the Vulture, played by the great Michael Keaton. So that's the basic gist of the plot, but there's so much more going on besides that. This movie feels like more of a classic John Hughes movie than it does a superhero movie. Peter gets picked on, he creeps after the girl of his dreams, he plays with Lego sets, typical nerd stuff. Anyway, this film really nails what it's like to be a real high schooler, and it makes it infinitely more relatable. We all know what it's like to feel like a loser sometimes, or to struggle to find the words to ask someone out on a date. We've all had that irresponsible gym teacher or that dorky math teacher. They're all in this movie. And all this is tied together by Tom Holland's excellent portrayal as Peter Parker. The casting is perfect. He's immensely likable. He's also believable as a nerd, but he's super heroic when he dons the costume. He's not an adult yet. He is just a kid, and he feels really vulnerable in some scenes, and it makes the stakes a lot higher. Even though it's Spider-Man, you know everything's gonna be okay. Also, Michael Keaton is just great as the Vulture. He's not really like an evil villain, he's just trying to make some money, and it makes him a lot more likable. And he's really vicious in some scenes, but other times he's shown real charm that reminds me of his take on Batman in 1989. Once again, Robert Downey Jr. kills it as Tony Stark, but he's essentially Tony Stark in real life at this point, so that's not really anything new. My biggest problem with this movie is it's got quite the barrier to entry. Unless you've seen the Iron Man trilogy, both Avengers movies, and Civil War, you might be a little lost with what's going on in the plot and where these characters are at in their lives. If you really want to get the full experience, you will have need to see all other 15 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, which is quite a lot to ask for someone who just wants to enjoy a Spider-Man movie. Otherwise, I think it's a perfect Spider-Man movie. It's my favorite movie of the year so far. I've seen it twice, and I can't wait to see it again. Even if superhero movies aren't your cup of tea, I think there's enough in here with the teenage drama, enough comedy, that anybody can really enjoy this movie. I really love Spider-Man Homecoming, so I'm giving it a perfect score, a 10 out of 10, and you should definitely go check this out.